So my question to you is, how do you feel about onions?
I love onions.
I hate them. The only thing I like about onions is maybe like the flavoring, but actual onions, slimy onions, freak me out. Raw onions.
For all you listeners out there, I apologize. I've got, oh fuck, I forget the name of it. Oh goddamn, it's the thing where if people are eating, crunching, or making loud noises when they eat, I freak out. I can't handle it.
So this is freaking you out?
No, because I don't know you. I'm not cool with you like that. But like, if I'm with someone I know, I'm like with my ex, like, you know, when I was married, or my family growing up, they got this thing called the look. If one of them would be making that gross, crunchy noise, I'd just give them.
See,
like I can't. It is a weird thing. I don't want to have it, but it just drives me nuts when people make.
See, I don't mind. I don't mind.
I can't handle it.
I don't mind crunch. I can't stand.
Has anybody ever done this before?
Moisture mouth. Ew, or dry mouth.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
Ew, like when you get the spit webs. I had.
It's okay. Am I on camera good here? Has anybody ever done this before?
I think you're good.
Because this is what I like on my podcast.
Well,
I like straight.
I'm right there with you.
I want to look right in your eyes.
We're gonna change up the setting with the new podcast room.
Look, I love being a guest on the podcast because I don't have to do any of the work. I just show up. You do it. It's nice.
And the beauty is if you get a question, you can always say it, but you're not under pressure to like be the person who's like, all right, let's go deep. So here's my question. If you could have top 3 guests, anyone in the world, in your podcast chair this year, who would it be?
Oh, that's a deep question.
And they do have to be alive.
Yeah. Well, for multiple reasons, Rogan.
Okay.
Joe Rogan. Number one, obviously, because you get the Rogan bump, and all of a sudden you're going to just be a professional. You get that number. Yeah. But aside from that, I draw a lot of inspiration. If you just look at my studio, it looks like Joe Rogan's old studio.
Aaron and I saw that right off the bat. We were like, yep.
I get a lot of inspiration from that because I started listening to him when he first started, before he blew up. I've listened to almost every episode of his.
Okay.
So I want him on to talk to, just kind of give him that respect and let him know what he's done for me, blah, blah, blah. But also challenge him. Like, yo, what the fuck, man? Like, I am disappointed in you. Like, you for years are spouting off about free speech, how pro free speech you are. And then when you switch over to Spotify, and the other thing is, before I get there, the free speech thing, and then the big thing is commercials. I don't want commercials in my podcast. It breaks up the conversation. I'll never do that, blah, blah, blah. Then he signs on to the Spotify deal. $100 million reportedly. Probably more like 200 million. And all of a sudden now I pay for Spotify.
Yeah.
I pay for Spotify because I don't want to listen to fucking commercials.
Yeah.
Well, now when you listen to Rogan, you have to listen to commercials. It'll come in.
Even now.
Even if you're a paying customer.
That's
so
messed up.
He started it for a while. They would be right at the beginning. But now they've gotten tricky. Now he'll jump right into the conversation.
But it'll
add in
a plug
for like 6 or 7 minutes. And then all of a sudden, I think it's Spotify's thing, but Spotify will just put in their random 3 Joe Rogan commercials at like the 7-minute mark or something like that. And you can skip past them. Probably if you're a paying member, I skip past them. You have to fast forward it, but it's a pain in the ass. And I didn't sign up for that. So that's part of it. And it does take away from the conversation. So if you're listening to somebody talk deep about and introspectively about a subject, and all of a sudden, hey, this episode was brought to you by so-and-so, it's like, it takes you out of it. And then the free speech thing, I'm a huge free speech guy. And I think as a podcaster, you have to be.
Yeah.
And just as somebody that just thinks questions are important, no matter what the questions are, no matter how difficult they are for politicians or people that are woke or unwoke or whatever name the category is, questions are extremely important and they can't be censored. Free speech is huge. And Rogan's just spouted that off for years. Well, then when he switched over to Spotify censored by removing something like 41 to 43 episodes with problematic, which Spotify deemed problematic episodes with things like Alex Jones or Chris D'Elia, some with Brian Callen, like different people that have had maybe sexual allegations that were never proven, mind you. They were never proven to be positive, but they just, somebody put that out there as part of that cancel culture and just dropped them. And so now these Milo Yiannopoulos, just there was like 40-something episodes just removed. And when it happened, Rogan was like, it was just a glitch.
Yeah.
There was just a glitch from transferring everything from all these apps straight over to it just happened to be these quote unquote, like they happen to be more conservative type of people.
It blows my mind. So I'm the little tiny podcast that could. And for instance, I did a review of Ricky Gervais's Afterlife, right? Mm-hmm. When you're trying to get people to watch your episodes, sometimes you do like a marketing run, you put money behind it. And when
I don't know any of this. This is why I'm not a big podcast at all.
Well, and again, I didn't know it either, but thank goodness I have a great team. I have really cool, young, awesome people who are like, all right, if you want more people to see this, you need to just put a few dollars behind it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, let's see what it does. Thing that's so messed up. So I'm literally pouring my heart out over Ricky Gervais because the whole premise of this is he's a widower and he's dealing with like how does he move on with life. And my husband actually was married before and he went through a divorce and his first wife died and they were supposed to get remarried. So for me, when I decided to review this show, it was therapeutic for me to understand grief and losing someone you love. And
that's guy I would love to talk to you about.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to talk to you about that.
Whoa.
So I was pouring my heart out in these podcasts, and then all of a sudden, I get this email from my marketing guy, and he's like, "You got flagged." And I go, I got flagged. And they're like, yeah, for triggering / controversial topics. And
what was
so even though I was trying to put money behind it to get people to watch it because I'm pouring my heart out on it, they were like, nah, we can't advertise this because you're putting out negative, like
YouTube
we talk about.
Said that? They demonetized you?
So, yeah. And I mean, the thing is because it's about suicide. And that's all we could think of. Now think about, and this is the thing that really sucks, is that no matter what, like if you're talking about, like if I say COVID 15 times, you're trying to pay for advertising. They have this machine that listens to what you're saying, and then they go, not in the mood to have that today. You said Trump 50 times. These are things that. There are ways to figure out around it, but it's really frustrating because I do believe someone like Joe Rogan isn't like, I'm a pussy now because Spotify is giving me this deal. I believe that unfortunately, when you go big and you have money and then you have all these people behind you, unfortunately, there does come a moment where it's like, no matter how much your conversation matters or you're going there, it either gets edited or it doesn't even come up in the algorithm. It won't even allow people to see it because what?
That's YouTube's algorithm.
That's YouTube, yeah.
The part of the reason why he went to Spotify is because of algorithms on YouTube.
Totally.
And so, but part of his big thing was I'm moving over here for this so-called freedom.
But don't you think Spotify still has it? I mean, Spotify still has it.
But before he moved over, he said, "I promise nothing's changing." He lied, either lied or he was lied to. Whatever it is, there's 40-something episodes that have just been removed.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's like 41 to 43 episodes that have been removed. Like I said, Milo Yiannopoulos, Alex Jones, Chris D'Elia, Brian Callen. So they're not even available. Gone. You can't find them. Wow. They're not. They just removed them, and a lot of them are, and like other ones with like conservative people. Huh. And Rogan hasn't really. He first said, "Oh, it was a glitch." But now he doesn't address it. They're just gone. And then he's also talking about, oh yeah, I'm pro freedom of speech. Then why the fuck aren't you fighting Spotify and whoever for getting those other 43 episodes back out there? Whoever deeming them problematic for whatever reason.
So basically,
And I want to confront him and not want to know why. And then also another thing is he's got his best friend, his brother, Brian Callen. Brian Callen had some cancel culture allegations set against him, which the thing is you can just say anything about anybody if you have a bone to pick with somebody. And all of a sudden I don't know, just like Rogan just kind of didn't mention anything and just removed himself, stopped having him on. He had Brian Callen on regularly. They had these things called Fighter Companions where they would watch UFC with Brendan Schaub, and he just stopped doing that and never mentioned it, anything at all. And it's just, ever since this deal, things have switched and changed slightly, and they're very contradictory to what he was spouting and living for so long. And it sucks.
It does suck when you have somebody who you have. For me, there's people I draw inspiration from, or people that motivate me, and when they fall from grace, I do everything in my power to read about, to understand, like, is it the media that's portrayed them this way? Because I get disappointed. I'm like, God, I've woken up every day and like I will look and click on the article about this certain person. I'm putting a pin in Joe Rogan because we can keep talking about it, but I want to know your second person that you would like.
Okay, Donald Trump.
Very cool. I'm so glad you said it because he's.
Why wouldn't you?
Totally.
Why wouldn't you want to have and just know what the fuck's going on? Like you just and like, but the thing with him is he knows he's on, and he know like I would want a real deep conversation where he opens up and like, look, man, my show's not that big.
Yeah.
A few people listen to it. No one's gonna hear this. Come on, like, spill the fucking beans.
Yeah, I try and think big. My husband's hilarious. I told him my dream guest, and he was like, he's like, money talks. Maybe, maybe one day, we could just be like, hey, for XYZ, will you come on the podcast?
I want to talk to. I'm sorry. I wish I had better answers. I wish I had a list of people I could give you.
Yeah.
But there's certain topics and things I want to talk to. You know what? Graham Hancock I'd like to talk to. And then I've also would like to talk to somebody that's with someone who's pro transgender, male to female, pro them playing in female sports. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like a male going to female, transitioning, but playing in female sports and absolutely dominating. I want to talk to like some of these high school principals and athletic directors that are saying that's okay. And I want to get into that.
I like that. I like that. And I
like I want to break that down.
And I like that you're not going all celebrity and you're thinking more about like what are actual topics that like, because I have my dream like guests, but I also have topics that just turn me the fuck on and I want to talk about them. It's hard to find. I
just had an amazing guest on. I didn't mean to break it.
No, go ahead.
The wine's getting me.
I actually love having a documentation of like where I started and where I'm at now. And the vulnerability and authenticity is something I'm always trying to challenge myself with. But also realizing like, God, I don't know, a lot of things that I'm insecure about that I still deal with. I've got a little bit of ADHD.
Insecurities as a podcast host are a fucking real challenge.
It's tough to listen to my episodes, like to a point where Aaron will be like, I need you to listen. Because, I had some conversations with my friend Tom, and we were talking about some stuff that were kind of triggering stuff. And I was
what do you mean triggering? What is this triggering stuff?
What I mean by triggering is sometimes I'll be on the mic with someone and I'll be telling a story that's about my life, but it kind of inadvertently like brings them to the forefront. And I think that it's interesting when you want to be authentic and vulnerable and tell a part of your life, but then you realize like, oh wow, like if my father hears this and I'm talking about ALS and how angry I am about the fact that he didn't accept his diagnosis, or if I'm talking about my past and boyfriends and my husband is hearing this, and it's like,
that's a them problem though. That's not a you problem, right?
It's a them, but it's also a I think there's a responsibility too of, I don't know. I guess if you love someone, right? Which I love my dad and I love my husband. And
for sure.
I think there's.
You love yourself?
No. I'm still learning to love her.
There it is.
I'm learning to love her. I have moments. I'm pretty hard on her.
Trust me, I know.
That's
why I asked that.
Yeah. Are you hard on yourself? Do you love yourself?
I've gotten a lot better. Mm-hmm. If you would have asked me a year ago, I've told you I hate myself.
Yeah.
But I've started to turn that around.
Yeah.
But that's why I asked that. I kind of figured what's very important is being authentic to yourself, regardless of whatever. But like when I say when that's a them problem, that like if you're being true to yourself and like this is who I am, this is my past. Yeah, there were some guys I chased or whatever, and I fell in love, blah blah blah. But he's the guy you married. You're the one you loved with and are with. Totally. Like, so none of the other shit matters. That's a him problem. If he has to deal with that, you fucking dealt with it and you're with him.
Totally.
And you found it.
But isn't
that's fucking beautiful. Like, that's a beautiful thing.
I love
so then
you.
it's okay to just be out there and be like, this is what happened. And like, I'm sorry, Dad, but whatever, but this is my feelings. Like, to be authentic. And that's the thing as like a podcast host or a creative host, that someone that's out there in the public image, whatever small or big that is, it's you having to be authentic with yourself and putting that out there and being okay with that. It's just really important to be like you were saying. I couldn't find the right guy because I couldn't be myself. Yeah. That's the same thing within life in general.
Yeah.
Whatever, if it's the podcast or it's your husband or your dad or who the fuck ever, like it's just very important to always be yourself and like you have to kind of be like, trigger warning, whatever. Like this is real raw. This is me. If you don't like whatever, turn it off.
Totally. It's scary though. Like it's
scary to be vulnerable. That's the point of being out.
Totally.
If you're gonna do the Seraphine podcast and put your shit out there,
well, you gotta
put your shit out there.
Is.
You know what I mean? You can't. It's hard. You can't censor yourself.
Totally.
Be yourself.
And that's
put that shit out there.
Aaron reminds me of it every day. He's it's so funny how I'm 44. Aaron, you're how old again? I always forget.
You say that
24.
a lot.
Well, because I think
you say I'm 44 a lot. Is that because you don't look 44?
I feel like because my life has been all over the board and I've lived in all these different places and I like a lot of times I don't feel taken seriously. And for some reason, 44 feels like I've lived a lot of life.
Bitch, take me serious.
Totally.
I'm not some ditzy 22-year-old spouting off out of whatever. Like, I've fucking lived.
Yes, it's out of...
Respect my seniority.
It's completely out of insecurity of feeling like, again, it's that good enough feeling. I think the second reason is when I learn from other people, I look at like with Aaron. Aaron... He's a lot younger than me, but what you just said about being vulnerable, being authentic, from day one, I'm going to get choked up probably because of the wine, but he's totally been like, be unabashedly you. And I think it's so, again, it's cool that someone younger, male, can look at a 44-year-old woman and be like, be fearless because you're a badass.
Yeah, thank God you're not a Karen. You would have said it if you were a Karen.
Totally. But that's like that.
Karen, shut the fuck up.
Totally. I can't believe I'm crying with Neander Man.
Well, that's why I'm pulling you out of it. Get out of those tears. I got to go potty.
You got to go potty?
Right now.
He's got to pee. It's not a go potty podcast.
I gotta go. Can we do is it okay if we do another segment?
We will. We'll do one more, and I'll invite Johnny up here. I can't wait to see what he thinks.